A silver extinction crisis? What are we talking about, folks? Let's get right on into it. A little precious metals update. I know you guys like the precious metals, and I've been stacking up. I just picked up some 1 ounces last week, continue to diversify the bullion that I'm picking up. I love my silver, haven't picked up any gold yet, but obviously there's a play for both of the metals in our balance sheets without a doubt. For me, I'm waiting until I stack some more M's in the bank account, then we'll pick up some gold. In the meantime, at 23 bucks an ounce spot price, and my guy was hooking me up pretty good, and so I was able to get this under $25 per ounce. Sounds good to me, right? For 25 bucks, you can get some exposure to the precious metals, and that's why we love silver. We've been watching gold as well. I'm going to explain why we had to put the title in here, Silver Extinction Crisis. I didn't actually come up with this term. Somebody else did, who is highly respected, and we've been keeping up to date through some of their research in the precious metals community. But with that being said, folks, let's get right on into it. So we have a breaking news update here from Mario Nafal. Breaking: Russia claims to have killed German soldiers. Russian media outlets are reporting that a Leopard 2 tank destroyed in the region there, I'm not even going to try, was operated by German soldiers. So apparently, Russian media is reporting here that they've taken out a Leopard 2 tank that was operated by German soldiers. The commander of the Russian intelligence team responsible for the destruction said that the German driver, before his death, claimed he was not a mercenary, but an active duty member of the Bundeswehr, the armed forces of Germany. This is a significant development, as it would be the first confirmed case of German soldiers fighting in Ukraine. Germany has been one of the leading providers of military aid to Ukraine, but it has so far refrained from sending its own troops. If this is true, it could escalate NATO's involvement in the conflict. The initial red line was heavy weaponry, then Patriot missiles, followed by tanks, then F-16s, and now long-range missiles. Will NATO send troops next? Is the likelihood of a direct conflict with Russia increasing? Now, what we got here too is we have military advisors, consultants. There's already NATO troops on the ground. I think that we all understand that. This development, though, we're going to have to watch this one closely. This once again adds fuel to the fire of this supply demand, this shortage of silver that we have, along with other metals, along with other precious commodities. We already see oil shooting back up. If we continue to get the war tensions, which I continue to pray for peace and that we can wrap this deal up, I don't want to keep sending billions to Ukraine, and I think that it's a losing battle here. But with that being said, all of this will feed into the imbalance that we're already seeing reflected in the markets and the need for a new Bretton Woods agreement. I think that we're close to that max pain point that's going to bring the bankers, going to bring the governments of the world back to the table, and we're going to do a new Bretton Woods. Now, Nick Crypto Crusader shared this one. Did anyone notice what the United Nations was doing 3 days ago? They are calling for a new Bretton Woods moment that will bring about a global systemic change. The window of opportunity is now. If you have been following the XRP side of things, the community has been calling for a new Bretton Woods for years. I think pressure is building. We might still be years away, but things are getting very interesting. Now is the time I'd be heavily researching utility projects within this space too, because I personally think they will be crucial in this new world. Absolutely. XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, Quant, NXRA, never heard of that one, Algo, and Casper are the few here that Nick Crypto Crusader shares. Appreciate that. And I see the same setup in XRP. I see the same setup in silver, gold. A supply shock is incoming. And what we have right now is this gentleman over here, Bai Jiajun. Hopefully I'm getting his name at least close to correct. But really appreciate all the data that he's been sharing on the Shanghai Futures Exchange. Now he's commenting on this post right here from Otavio Costa. Mexico just reported its steepest decline in annual production of silver in 4 years, which is notably worse than during the COVID lockdowns. Let us not forget, that is by far the largest producer of the metal in the world today. So Mexico is the #1 silver producer in the world today, and we just see a decline in their annual production to levels that we haven't seen for 4 years. The supply of silver remains remarkably constrained, and if this is indeed the beginning of another gold cycle, the metal could be worth multiples of its current price. Mexico silver production, looking at this chart on the year-over-year percentage change, we are down 19%, nearly a fifth less silver being produced out of Mexico. Levels that we haven't seen since before 2020. 4 years ago, 2019. So you are seeing this really get interesting. You're seeing it pick up. And Bai Jiajun said this: 3 years ago in my article, the silver extinction crisis is about to erupt. I said Mexico would be the first country to experience depletion of silver resources. As Mexico is number one producer of silver, once Mexico declares silver depletion, a global silver crisis will erupt. Now, the problem being is even if they go find new silver, it still can take well over a decade to get it out of the ground, right? And this is being reported here. You're also seeing, big time crises, protest, chaos in a lot of these massive silver producing countries like Peru. I don't know if Peru's number 2 on the list, but you have Mexico up there. They're cutting production. You have Peru. They, haven't been able to get it out of the ground because the streets have been on fire. They've had some chaos, protests in that country. And you're seeing it in other areas as well. Now, we're starting to see the commodities run up. If you take a look at what oil just did over the last 3 months, it's looking like a cryptocurrency almost. It's pumped 30% in the last 3 months, which maybe that's a little stretch. Crypto does, 30% in a day. But nonetheless, right? I mean, oil up 30% in the last 3 months since we drained the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And now inflation's bottomed, starting to tick back up. And it's only looking like it's going to get worse as far as the cost of oil going up, the cost of gas approaching $5 per gallon in my area. And it's really getting crazy out there. And then when you look at, we had a 230, guys, this is a fact. I want to be very clear. Folks think that I'm just hyping up the silver because, I want you to use my affiliate links down below and we just want to make money. No, I want to help you out. That's why we got our reputable sources, our affiliates down below. Absolutely. But it is not up for debate. It is not me hyping. It is not me clickbaiting when I tell you that we had a 230 million ounce deficit last year of this metal. Now, when you go look at the other precious commodities, resources that we need to run the world on, it's the same setup across the board. Okay? And I like this phrase, the silver extinction crisis, right? Because even if we got it in the ground, if we just have delays or cuts in the production, and then they could go find a bunch of new, silver tomorrow, it's still 10 to 15 years out before we get it out of the ground, right? And this is just a historical moment that we're living through. And it brings us back to, when you look at history, to a moment that we lived through in the 70s. Now, when you look, here's the 1970 cost of living. And I like to look at this, right? We compare gold to US dollar. We compare silver to US dollar. Well, I shared a chart about a week ago, and it was the price of gold compared to the median US house. And it was showing, reiterating, how well gold has held up against the average median house, right? Compared to the dollar, it's done its deal back and forth. But when you go look at what it's done compared to the average median house, it has held up incredibly well. And that's what gold's for. I think that we could get better gains in silver. But nonetheless, let's look at the point that I'm trying to make here. Is we have gone crazy. We are in a whole new reality with the new house now costing you well over $400,000. I mean, in my area, you get a nice shack for $400,000. The average median home right now coming in at anywhere from $350,000 to $400,000, depending on who you ask, right? But in my area, you're looking at $500,000 to $600,000 for a 1,500 square foot 3-bedroom standard home. Okay. But back in 1970, your new house costed $23,000. Imagine that. $23,000. And your average income was $9,000. Now $9,400, which, why is that important? Because basically 3 times your net income, right? Basically 3.5 times your net income would buy you a house. So if you saved up, right? I mean, this is when folks were able to buy these properties cash or put significant amount of money down. Your new car, $3,400. Minimum wage, $2 an hour. Okay. So people were making a lot less, but $20,000 for your new house. Movie ticket, $1.55. Imagine that. Imagine that, being able to take out wifey for $1.55 and some popcorn, $2, and you got yourself a date night. I can't remember the last date night that I didn't spend $100 on. Maybe that's a stretch. Sometimes me and wifey do pretty basic. I mean, I guess, but any meal that we go out to now, $40-50 at a restaurant, and that's not even including a drink. Maybe I'm getting a nice light beer with my dinner, right? I mean, golly, $1.55 for a movie ticket. 36 cents a gallon for your gasoline. As I said, we're approaching $5 per gallon in my area once again. Your postage stamp was 6 cents. Sugar was 39 cents for 5 pounds. How about that? Milk was 62 cents a gallon. I don't know. Wifey buys all of our groceries. I don't know what the cost per gallon of milk is right now. What is it, $3-4? I know, it's crazy. Coffee, $1.90 per pound. How about $6-7 for your Starbucks latte? Little pumpkin spice for $6-7. How about that? Your eggs coming in at 59 cents a dozen. Now, we've seen those eggs went crazy, didn't they? Up to what it was like $3-4 per dozen. You want the all natural cage-free brown ones, you're paying $5-6, right? And then you got bread coming in at 25 cents. And, you know, we asked the question, what went wrong after this? This is the cost of everything in 1970. And through the 70s, this went nuts. This went all crazy. And it reminds us of what we're living through right now. And I wanted to reiterate the point. When we look at the gold chart, in 1971, right here, Nixon took us off the gold standard. So right before that, gold was pegged, the dollar was pegged to gold, $35 per ounce. And it was trading at $35 going all the way back. I'll show you here in a second how far, basically since the 30s. And after that Bretton Woods agreement in the 40s, we were trading at $35, all the way back. And that was when they confiscated the gold, of course. They confiscated the gold and then they set the price at about $35 per ounce. But then in 1971, right here, August of 71, which is where this vertical line is at, that's when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and you proceeded to see gold pump 2,200% from $35. It gets set free, and it goes to $875, nearly $900. From 35 to 900, 2,200% pump. How about that, folks? How about that? And we're living through something similar. When you look at this chart, you zoom all the way out, going all the way back here, all the way through the 1800s. You had this thing trading at $20 per ounce. Then here at the turn of the century, it turns up a little bit. And then after they confiscated the gold, right? We confiscated the gold. We set the price at $35 per ounce, and we traded that all the way through the 20th century. 20th century, we trade all the way at 35. Then we get set free, and this thing just goes nuts. Absolutely nuts. 2,200%. Incredible. 2,200%. Now, is gold going to do the same thing? I don't know. Right? Probably not. What do we have? We have gold at just under 2,000 per ounce right now, right? So if we catch a 10x and we go to 20K, that'd be 1,000%, okay? That'd be pretty substantial. That could take 3 to 5 years, probably would take 3 to 5 years, right? Look at the move that we did in the 70s, though. From 71 through, what was that peak at? We topped out in 80, right? We topped out in 80 right before we had a major recession and crisis. So we top out in 80 at $900 essentially per ounce. That was a 9-10 year move. I think that we're at the beginning of another decade-long move right here, a commodity super cycle. And I think that you're going to see gold move. I think you're going to see silver move. My gold guy, my precious metals dealer, one of them, I was talking with him last week when I was picking up some 1 ounces. And he says that gold's going to 50K. He thinks we're going to have probably a gold to silver ratio of about 50 to 1. And that's why he's calling for 1,000 per ounce silver. Now, that's very bullish, a little bit too bullish for my liking, but I don't rule it out. I don't try to shut him down, right? And I understand that he's incentivized to maybe pump up that a little bit. Sure. But the point being is that we see the supply-demand imbalance. It's present, it's already there, and it's getting worse. The silver existence crisis and, the silver extinction crisis, right? Same thing. Existence, extinction, same thing. We had a 230 million ounce deficit last year. I'm interested to see what we get this year. For me, the writing is on the wall. The move's already being made on the chart. We're already seeing the breakout. And I want to give a huge shout out to this gentleman, Bai, because he's been updating us on the Shanghai Futures Exchange, which is already trading at well over $2,000 per ounce for gold and well over $25 per ounce for silver in US dollar terms. So out east, those prices are more closely correlated to the actual physical demand of the metal, more closely related to reality, versus over here in the west, we're more correlated with the paper manipulated derivative based off the COMEX price. And so the COMEX obviously has been, showing us what happens when you manipulate gold for decades now. And we're starting to see JP Morgan get busted. We're seeing other folks get busted. We had another settlement with Goldman Sachs and the SEC this week, of course. Gary Gensler's buddies over there at Goldman Sachs settling up, paying their fine. And so they've been caught rigging all these markets. Citadel getting caught for the naked short selling. And they actually just settled up with the SEC this last week as well. What this confirms to me is that we're about to break out. Something's got to give. When you have the folks that were rigging these markets getting busted, shut down, and losing their ability to rig the markets, and then you're seeing on the ground, when we actually get to produce and get it out of the ground, the production is falling off 20% compared to last year. And has demand gone down? Not in the slightest. Demand continues to grow. And so it's all just setting up this one big picture that is bullish for me. Am I going to say 50K gold, 1,000 per ounce silver? No, I'm not. I'm not going to say that. I'm not opposed to it. I think that'd be kind of fun. I mean, the dollar as we know it, our reality as we know it, would be flipped upside down, but I don't rule it out. And I focus more on the conservative place. Silver moving anywhere, just doubling from here, right, to $50. I think that silver should easily be at over $50 per ounce right now as we're sitting here today. And I think that gold should be well above 2,000, probably well over 3,000 per ounce. Experts like Jim Rickards and others suggest over 5,000 per ounce is where gold should be at right now. 10 to 20,000 per ounce, very capable. So you pick which expert you want to listen to. For me, at the end of the day, it's something's got to give, and we're going up, right? Short term, they can play with us. Long term, it's very clear where we're heading. And for me, I'm not going to get left behind. I am already on this train. I just picked up some more last week. If you guys are looking to pick up some precious metals, you know where to find it at. We can help you roll over your 401k or get the metal shipped directly to you. And if you do so, it is a way to support the channel, and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much for tuning in here today. If you guys could smash it on the way out and make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. And I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all.